I got a number of felonies, and I just told you I was the last person to see it. You can just easily just say case closed.
That was a prediction Shannon Ryan made just a few days ago in a video on Facebook. And now it seems his assumption has come true, as the 38-year-old now faces federal kidnapping charges in the disappearance of Leila Cavett. It all started in late July when Ryan says he had convinced Cavett to come to Florida to sell him her white pickup.
I said, let me buy that truck from you. I'm not selling my truck. I like Leila. Come on, sell me the truck.
The FBI released these pictures showing Cavett at a racetrack gas station in Hollywood where Ryan says they met up. But that's when investigators say his story begins to fall apart. Apparently, Ryan told them he, Cavett, and her son went to eat and to the beach before coming back to the gas station. Ryan told investigators that Cavett then got into a sedan with several people and they drove off. But according to the documents, surveillance video shows that isn't what happened. Instead, they say, quote, a vehicle consistent with Ryan's gold Lexus is seen directly in front of the apartment complex where the child was recovered only minutes before the child was found. Ryan's Lexus is very distinguishable because it is missing the front bumper. They also say surveillance video showed Ryan buying extra-large garbage bags, carpet odor eliminator, and duct tape from a next-door Walmart. And after getting a warrant to search Cavett's truck, they say, quote, among other things, law enforcement recovered shovels with small droplets of a red substance on them. And apparently also in that video they were able to recover, they found Ryan's vehicle parked right next to a dumpster. In that dumpster, they found children's toys. And when they went through his phone, they were able to look at his old Google searches from just a couple of days before. They say he looked up when trash was going to be picked up in that area. They also found a Google search about how to make chloroform, a chemical known to be used to knock out victims in kidnappings. There's so much more to these charging documents. I put some of it on my social media accounts at Ian Margol, WPLG. A lot more to learn in this case. Live in Fort Lauderdale, I'm Ian Margol, Local 10 News.
What's happening, everybody? All right, before I get started, I'm going to let y'all know something. I'm going to let y'all know a little something. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I'm going to be very, very upfront. You're going to hear me laugh quite a bit when talking about this case. And the reason being is because this dude is like a cartoon character. There's something totally outrageous about this guy. And it kind of blows my mind because, all right. And if any of my mods, I know Wicked Witch is a member of that group, but if any of my mods, please, if you guys got the link to Critical K's Facebook group on, I want to say it's Leila, but no, it's only because it's like the Eric Clapton song. I don't even really like Eric Clapton. So, but it looks like it's meant to be pronounced Leila. I'm thinking it's Leila. So Leila Cavett, anybody. So Wicked Witch, if you could drop the link to Critical K's Where's Leila Cavett Facebook group, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. And continue to do so randomly, please. All right, let me say hi to everybody before we get started here. Nikki Venable, how we doing? Kendall G, Lauren Elizabeth, Nicole Marie, Sammy C, Brina Beans. Yeah, it is. It's a little wild. Blonde Diva TV channel. All right. Jeannie Farron, TCH, it's good to see you again. Hope Addis and Wicked Witch. I'm sitting here barking orders at you. I apologize. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. And that girl also, again, thank you for being here. Hounds. Anna Christina Monzon is how I think that's pronounced. Ana Cristina Monzon, right? I had that shit. I nailed it, right? I nailed it. I know I did. All right, hold on. Who else we got up in here? Did I already say Sammy C? Well, I'm saying it twice if I did. Jenny Anderson. D. Dugan. How are ya? Right. Okay. So this dude, Shannon Ryan, he's a character. Now you're going to see if you join that group and follow the stuff in it, you're going to see and all you got to do is click on this guy's page is public. He has another thing for his witchcraft, I guess. And it's I already forgot what that's called, but so I'm not gonna lie, this guy, he's capable of keeping you entertained, and it's almost as if he wants to entertain. It's like he fancies himself an entertainer to a certain degree, but he also on some level feels that he is to be worshipped. He has a form of a sense of possession over everyone he comes across. It seems like that's the impression I get from watching this guy. And if you watch his videos, we're not going to go over his videos here, but there's one of them. The reason why I'm not going over it is because it's an hour long of this guy just basically lying. Now that we know he's lying, but now here's the thing. Now he's been charged with kidnapping, right? He's been charged with kidnapping and lying to a federal officer or whatever that charge is. Initially, those of us in the group, we were discussing it and we were thinking, okay, well, he is they picked him up, charged him with this one thing. They caught him on some stupid little white lie, maybe, and then they're going to use this to interrogate him and get information from him because they believe that he's lying. Because the guy's his behavior is absolutely bizarre. You take a look at Letitia Stalk's social media behavior and you just multiply it by about 5 with this guy. He is out there. And I can't stress enough how not only is it's crazy, he's captivating. He's fascinating to look at. He's fascinating to watch. He'll also make a select few dizzy when you're watching his videos because he can't, he's all over the place and you're just like, dude, it's all right, man. I make a lot of hand gestures. I'm sorry if that's annoying, but that's just how I talk. And I guess that's how he talks. He just kind of bounces around, and but he's a weird dude, and he thinks that he is some sort of god, and he fancies himself being a witch. And here's the thing about him, though. People that I know that consider themselves to be practicers, people who practice witchcraft of some form or another, whether it be Wicca or paganism, whatever. I don't know how it works, but and it's cool. They're usually really cool people, but none of them do what this guy does. And if you watch his videos, what he tends to do is he tends to threaten people with his witchcraft conjuring abilities. And it doesn't make any sense to me that he thinks that somehow the only thing that makes sense to me is if he fancies himself this type of person, a god among men, on earth, then I guess he feels he's immune to the rules of the way that, because the general belief is, and it's actually not far from the way that I believe things. The universe works, when I say the universe, I mean all things, the universe, every single living thing, dead thing, whatever, everything in existence working in some sort of harmony. One can't survive without the other, and so on and so forth, and how that works. And there's a cycle that takes place, right? Now, it seems to me that a witch can somehow manipulate these cycles, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that a true witch believes that they can actually manipulate the cycle of existence. I don't believe that that's a thing. I think that they fancy themselves, at least the ones that think that they're good or try to practice being good, is they try to enhance their part of that as best as they possibly can. And they amplify their experience on this earth for themselves in a positive, beautiful way. This is not what this person has in mind. What this person, Shannon Ryan, has in mind when he's doing his videos, what he's doing is he's just blatantly threatening people. Like every post that he writes somewhere towards the end says, y'all keep playing with me and you're going to see my wrath. You're going to see what a real witch can do. You're going to see what a coven of witches can do. And everything is always very threatening. He's always on the defense. And so to me, that could be construed, not the video itself. When you watch the video, there's no point where I'm watching the video and I'm going, this guy's guilty of something, because I didn't know anything yet. I wasn't aware of anything yet. So it didn't make sense to me to sit there and be like, oh, this guy's guilty of something. I mean, the guy, he says, one of the first things he says is that he's got 15 felonies, right? 15 felonies. That's crazy. That's a lot. That guy has been to prison. He is familiar with prison, right? So does he give you a bad vibe? Well, that's a pretty solid explanation as to why. That doesn't necessarily mean that he had something to do with Leila Cavett disappearing. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. But that's what kind of makes it so fascinating as you're watching this. And this is like, you don't want to judge the guy for his past, right? But at the same time, you also want to use common sense, because the guy's sitting here and he's blasting himself all over social media trying to explain himself. When this is what's really funny to me. This guy, if you look at all of his posts and you watch his little videos, he taunts the FBI just a couple of days, prior to his arrest, up until his arrest. He taunts the FBI. He makes videos taunting them, implying that he's smarter than the FBI, which is it's funny, especially now that he's been arrested. Now, here's the thing. Was she kidnapped? Was Leila kidnapped? Well, he's charged with kidnapping, right? But all we've got so far is some stuff that I guess is suspicious enough. I guess it's, to make you suspicious, but is it enough? Like, in a court of law is what they have right now in that affidavit, from what we know that they have, right? That affidavit, which was released today, if you read that affidavit, right, it's hard to determine how it's hard to see what's in that affidavit that they could take that to court and have this man convicted of kidnapping. Because where's her body, right? So there'd definitely be a murder charge if there was a murder charge, but it's possible, for all we know. I mean, sex trafficking could be a thing, human trafficking. He could have possibly sold her to somebody, and they're probably on to that, but they're just unable to prove that. But at this point, they know that she's been kidnapped. That's probably one of the only logical things that I can think of at the moment on the fly. But when you read the affidavit, it's kind of hard. It's kind of difficult to see it, to see how, with what they have there, they can convict him on kidnapping. So I think they're pretty confident that they're going to catch a murder charge. Now, I want to talk about another thing in this affidavit that they talk about. They talk about shovels being found and traces of red droplets. Now, don't let any other true crime channel that you watch talking about this case, don't let any other channel, true crime or not true crime, don't let them tell you that they found blood. Don't let them say that they found blood on a shovel, because that's not a fact yet. We don't know that that's a fact. That thing specifically only says that they were red droplets on those shovels. That could mean that somebody was my man Shannon was digging a ditch and somebody was painting a building red right next to him. Who knows? We don't know nothing. So don't let anybody sit here and go, well, they found blood on the shovels. We don't know if they found blood on the shovels. We don't know if that's blood. So don't let anybody do that. Just fair warning. So you got to keep your eye out for things like that, man. And this is for an FBI agent. I mean, I don't know. I've never written an affidavit. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a cop, but I've read some affidavits that are way more thorough than that. So it's a little weak when it comes to saying that she was kidnapped, because we don't know what her whereabouts are right now. And the fact of the matter is, I guess, but here's the thing though. Let's look a little bit further into the broad spectrum, right? Let's look into the grand scheme of things. Let's look a little further ahead. Now, what I'm seeing so far is when they say that they found toys in a dumpster and pants that are consistent with the pattern that she's caught on surveillance wearing, that Leila is caught on surveillance wearing. Now, that's pretty telling right there. And there's nothing other than that. And the red droplets on the shovels that indicate that she was hurt or worse. But let's hope not. Again, I was hoping this whole time that she was, her family had made comments in the past saying that she had a drug problem. I was hoping she was holed up in some seedy motel somewhere and then comes out and go, what's going on? I don't understand what everybody's the big. So I was hoping that would happen, but it's not looking that way. It's not looking that way, and I'm not happy about it. And I don't think any of us are. But there's still enough right now to still have some hope. There really is, that she's somewhere okay. Because again, remember, the only thing that they've got right now is a kidnapping charge. And reading that affidavit, it seems like they're kidnapping. Based on the evidence that we see, that's a pretty weak charge, considering what little they have to indicate that. That's circumstantial. I mean, the guy bought everyday household items from Walmart, right? Trash bags, deodorizer, whatever. But excuse me. But he did pay for them with her debit card after she disappeared, and he's caught on surveillance doing that. Now that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So, and he's Googling how to make chloroform. It's, again, that doesn't necessarily prove that she's been kidnapped. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't prove that she's been kidnapped, but it indicates, definitely indicates. So whether or not, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a cop, I'm not a federal agent. I don't know what it takes to have enough to charge somebody with kidnapping. So, and I would assume that if they had enough to charge him with kidnapping, or if they didn't have enough to charge him with kidnapping, they wouldn't have charged him with it. So, now, let's talk a little bit about this guy's so-called witchcraft, right? The whole thing with that, to me, the whole time, the more I listen to this person speak, make videos, write posts, I mean, this guy is completely, I don't think he's crazy. I think that he has created a delusion to cover his insecurities. You have to look at everything that he's saying. Everything that he's saying can be construed as somebody's talking on from a defense, from a place of being defensive. And I mean, even everything from the stuff. What was the stuff that he was the terms he was referring to? you know, sitting there and putting on an act of meditating, talking about a white light, surrounding a white light. It's actually pretty tranquil what he was talking about. The problem is that when you have a guy like that, with that kind of energy that he's projecting from himself, you can't take it seriously. You can't, your mind just won't let you do it. Your heart won't let you do it. Your heart senses that there's something off there. There's something not right about this dude. So you're not going to, it doesn't necessarily mean he's guilty of a crime, but it definitely means that I'm not sitting there and meditating with a guy who seems to have demons struggling and going to war in his head. And that's totally the type of guy this guy comes off as to me. Every single thing was on the defense that he would say. He would use his so-called powers to threaten people rather than try to help them. He would make himself, you could tell he was making a conscious effort. And then if you watch his videos, he gets real fired up and then and then puts on a fake smile, and you could tell he's constantly struggling with his temper, constantly trying to keep his temper at bay. And there's people who, there are times you see that, right? There are people that you're around and you hang out with and you work with or whatever. And there are times that they might be the type that's easily annoyed with something or irritated with something. And then they go, oh, you know what? It's all good. But there's some people like that. You know what I'm saying? There's more people like that. But this guy was, in my personal opinion, from what I observed, and I'm not a mental health professional of any kind. I'm just, from my experience of knowing people, right? This guy he's got a lot of shit stirring in his head, a lot of negativity, and it's constantly got him on edge, and he's constantly trying to keep himself chill and relaxed and cool. He posts something on social media every 5 minutes for the same reason that Letitia Stock posted something on social media for every 5 minutes, because it was eating them up. It was eating them up. Like, this is not me. Nobody thinks that when they do something terrible that it's actually them that's doing it. They always think that, they had a weak moment, but it's not really who I am. But, I got something to tell you, man. When you do something like that you can't go back from, there's no way to fix it, right? There's no way to ever make it right. When you cross that boundary, I'm sorry, that's tattooed on you. Once you've crossed that boundary, what you do is who you are. Once you murder somebody, make no mistake, you are a murderer. That's it. So people could sit there and they could go, oh, he made mistakes in the past and blah, blah, blah. Now, he still has to go to court. He still has to be tried. He still has to be, but here's the thing. And I don't mind trash talking this guy, because his heart is not in a good place. And I can tell that. I could tell that this guy was mean-spirited. I can feel that when I'm watching him, when I'm listening to him talk. Is he entertaining? Is he charismatic? Absolutely. Sure. But I can see past that. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm going to say that over and over. I'm not saying that what I saw was someone who has committed a crime. But what I am seeing is someone who is definitely struggling, because I have been that person. I have been that person who is constantly just irritated with the world and hated the world. And then it got to a point to where I couldn't stand myself for that anymore. I could see myself being this spiteful. I could see it in myself. And I hated myself eventually. And then, as you guys know, who's been following this channel for a long time, I took the steps to start changing the way that I live my life with a different attitude. But the thing is the way that I could tell that this dude has not done that, as he's so claimed that he has, is because he's trying to use something like magic to arm himself with. To arm himself with as far as an image goes, something that people are going to look at and be like, that's fascinating. And then they're going to look at him and be like, oh shit, I'm scared of him though. Now I'm going to tell you this right now, straight up. Face to face, I'd be dead afraid of that guy. I'd be scared shitless. If I had to face that guy face to face, this guy's a 15-time felon, man. He's been around and had to survive being around the hardest people there are in South Florida. I grew up in South Florida. Jail in Miami can't be good. Thank goodness I've never been to jail in Miami, but it can't be easy. So I'm saying face to face, I'd be totally scared of this dude. I would not want to cross him. But the person that he projects on the internet, I call 150% bullshit on. This man does not have any powers. This man does not use his powers to help people. I mean, if you guys, I follow Critical K. She's a friend of mine, and her last live stream, she actually says, she shows how she reached out to him. She had screenshots. It was really funny, but she reaches out to him saying, hey, and she was honest, because when she first started covering this case and this dude made that hour-long video, she talked about the video and she defended him. She said, I'm not seeing anything here that's going to indicate to me that he's lying. You know, I'm not saying he isn't lying, but I'm not seeing anything on the video that says that he is, right? Because I'm not a lie detector, right? And he's funny, he's charismatic. If he's saying that she's a drug addict and the family's saying that she's a drug addict, then, you know, it's probably likely that she is. So it's not hard to believe this man's story necessarily. So she reaches out to him to to hopefully have him on the channel, and it would have been probably, I mean, I don't know, he would have dug his own hole, I'm sure, but Kay would have been respectful. I mean, you know, she had Shane Carey on her channel. So, I mean, she knows what she's doing in that sort of thing. And she would have been sincere and she would have been nice. And the guy responds in the most harsh and defensive manner possible. She says, hey, I'm Critical K, and I watched your video and I wanted to see, I have a YouTube channel, blah, 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 right? And then he fires back with some, you're going to hear from my lawyers for defamation and slander and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, actually, I said nothing but nice things about you, you know? And, and so he fires back, and it makes a hard left turn right here. So he ends up answering back, I could see that you're not afraid of me or intimidated by me. I like that, right? All of a sudden it gets creepy. All of a sudden it gets weird, right? So as soon as she's reading this, and as soon as I hear that, I go, like, if there were people around me that have been like, did you hear that? Did he say that? Like, so you can tell that right there. For me, I had already suspected that he was the type, when he tries to recruit covens of witches, he tries to charge them ridiculous amounts of money to train them. But I think his pitch is probably shitty. Like, who knows? I mean, he had people following him, and he had people, I mean, who knows? But at the same time, you know, the guy's living out of his car, it seems like, right? And he's living out of his car, and he's talking about how he gave somebody a place to stay, which I was like, I don't understand what's going on with that. That doesn't, you know, I'm probably missing something. I leave the details and the timelines and all that stuff to the real true crime creators that are covering these cases. I just talk about what I know. So I don't know. I don't know if this guy, he had a place, or, I mean, but from what I'm seeing, he's living out of his car, you know, and that's tough, right? Yeah. What is it? $50,000 for Cavett entry. I think he had reasonable prices though. Rockabilly. I think he had like, I think there were like, you know, $3,000 or something like that, or $5,000. Still, I mean, not reasonable, but more reasonable than 50. You know, that's insane. But I could be wrong. Again, I don't know. I just glanced at that and laughed. So, you know, this guy, yeah, he's not somebody I would fuck with face to face, but he's definitely somebody that I would call out over the internet. But and yeah, I got the impression from him that he has a contempt for women. He feels like he needs to literally covet them. So he feels like he has to collect them and have a harem following him. He feels worthy of a harem. He feels worthy of all of these, of just having women throwing themselves at his feet and worshiping him because he is divine. But he's not. He's completely insecure. He's completely insecure. I mean, you could just tell by his videos, and you could tell that the more and more time that went on prior to his arrest, the more nervous he was getting, which was making me feel like he was guilty of something. See, these are things that I look at and I think are okay. You know, this guy's definitely behaving like someone who's guilty. That's the kind of behavior that somebody typically who's guilty of something would engage in. But you can't watch one video with somebody and look at the way they move, and then all of a sudden you're a body language expert. Because you're not a body language expert. You know nothing. You know absolutely nothing. You don't get to sit there and talk about somebody's body language and pretend like you can judge their fate and assess everything that they've done in their life. That's just irresponsible. But when you have days and days and days and days of someone constantly posting more bizarre and bizarre content on social media, then it's a little bit better to, you start to go, oh, that's weird. That's definitely not the behavior of someone who is innocent, generally innocent. This is the behavior of somebody who is uneasy with something that is happening in his life currently, and it is clearly affecting him. So, and I think we can all agree that they did not have the type of relationship where one claims to really love or care for the other. And we can all pretty much come to the conclusion that, yes, it was him who, based on that affidavit, it was him who abandoned Kamdyn. So, you know, a gold Lexus, pretty common in Miami, pretty common in South Florida, Miramar, Hollywood area, pretty common. A bumper missing, not so common. Not on. I mean, the chances of some random person having the same make and model with the same things wrong with their car as Shannon, I'd say, are more than a little astronomical. So that's not going to happen. That's not. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Shannon was the one who dropped off Kamdyn and or abandoned Kamdyn, I should say, dropped off. I take that back. Abandoned a baby in an apartment complex in South Florida, in Miramar, Florida, which is not horrible, right? It's not horrible. It's not real bad crime-wise. And luckily, based on the surveillance footage, it only took minutes for someone to find Kamdyn and pick him up. So Kamdyn, luckily, was not in danger for very long at all. So thank goodness for that. But, I mean, are we going to split hairs here? Are we going to split hairs? I mean, come on. We've got this guy, his car, abandoning this baby, or at least right there in the area where the baby was found and abandoned at the time. And we've got him going to the racetrack and coming back, and it's consistent. And there's a cell phone ping. There's a tower right there, and so his phone pings. So I mean, they put him there. He's there. It's very easy to put him there for the abandoning of Kamdyn. So absolutely. And does that make him look guilty to me of kidnapping Leila? Well, yeah. Does that make me suspected? Yeah. Do I think with what's in that affidavit, they could take that to a court of law and convict him with it? I don't know. My legally uneducated mind says no, but I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, does it make me think that he did it? Fuck yeah. Absolutely. 100%. Everything in this whole thing makes me think that this guy is totally guilty of what is going on. That's totally, I feel perfectly comfortable stating that in this particular case. You know, I have zero reservations about it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, this guy, I hope that he, at the very least, provides some closure to Leila's loved ones, at the very least. If he had killed her, I hope that he has enough decency to inform law enforcement where he put her. I think that, you know, I mean, if this guy is in the slightest bit, which I'm not even remotely convinced that he is, but if this guy is in the slightest bit the type of person that he claims to be, someone who wants to enlighten people, someone who wants to enrich people's lives, someone who at least believes that they've learned from their past mistakes, and maybe he feels he went too far with this one, and hopefully he can get right with whatever forces he feels that he has some sort of some sort of relationship with. So, but I don't think that that's going to happen. He doesn't seem like the type of person that is capable of taking any accountability for his actions. He seems like the type of person that knows in theory that people respect someone who takes accountability for their actions, but doesn't actually do so himself. He just uses it as a manipulation tactic to get people to trust him. Especially, and you know, What tells me that? Well, everything that we know from this affidavit versus everything that he was saying in his hour-long video. He's extremely right. Blonde Diva TV channel. I agree with you. He's extremely spiteful. He's got a spiteful nature. He's ugly on the inside. So I don't want to see. I'm really hoping that we don't have to see Leila's family suffer any more than they already are by not knowing or being able to give her a proper burial. And let's discuss this too while we're at it. Let's discuss. There's a lot of talk about why is Kamdyn in foster care, and for the first time in my life, I watched Dr. Phil. He was talking to the family lawyer, and for the first time in my life, I agreed with something that Dr. Phil said, because the whole time I'm sitting there thinking the same thing that he's saying. He winds up saying towards the end of that, and he ends up asking, well, I don't understand. Why can't the family, usually DFACS, Department of Children and Families, usually what they do is the last thing they want is another mouth to feed. Does that make sense? Their job is to watch a budget just like anybody else, right? It's like any other business. You got to watch the budget, right? So the last thing they want is another mouth to feed. So what their job is to do is to find anyone in the family closest to the mother, closest to the child, anyone in the family closest to the child, next of kin, that is capable of providing the child with a stable home in the meantime till everything gets worked out with the mom. That's what they want to do. That's in the best interest of the child generally, right? So people are saying, well, why isn't the family taking this child in? Well, the thing is we don't know anything about their family, do we? Maybe they tried. Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, why won't the family take them? That doesn't make sense. Well, why isn't the family taking them? I was sitting there putting investment into what Shannon was saying, that the family is just a bunch of pieces of trash who abandoned Leila and abused her and then, got rid of her. I don't know if any of that's true or not. But what I do know is at this point, Shannon's word means dick, right? So now I'm back at the frame of thinking. I'm back in the form of thinking, the pattern of thinking that maybe they wanted to put Kamdyn with his grandmother or his aunt or whoever, but maybe they don't have suitable homes. Maybe there's alcoholism going on in one of those homes. Maybe one of the houses is just too dirty. Maybe, we don't know. We don't know. So I don't think it's fair. Maybe they're unfit to take them. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe it's fair to explore that rather than saying, oh, well, they don't want the child. They don't love the child. They don't care about the child. So honestly, I'd rather think that they just simply, somebody failed a piss test, came back positive for weed, and because of a technicality, they can't put the child in that home because of that one technicality. Maybe that's the case. So I'm not ready to start throwing judgment at this family. I honestly don't know if she was homeless, Nancy Eileen. Just trying to go over chat a little bit here. Let's Let's do something fun. You guys want to do something fun? All right, guys. Let's do something fun. I'm going to read one of this dude's posts. All right. But I'm going to do it in an accent. I'm going to see if this one's worth doing. All right. Okay, witches. If you feel what I've been feeling, these muggles about to start killing themselves off, and the government is setting the perfect stage for it. Remember, fall back to the nearest forest and let them fight this shit out. They'll kill us. They'll kill each other off while we chill and dance naked in the woods. It doesn't matter if they know our plans. They will get eaten by the spirits of the forest. Let the Fae show you the way. Ma said, all magical ones are protected. Goddess bless the muggle souls. They are going to kill themselves off with their own technology. We don't have to do nothing but pop some popcorn. If you thinking, I playing, keep watching. Oh, well, muggles had their turn. In the new world order of witches, we will be more kind in our relationship with Mother Earth. Baril. That dude spits fire. I mean, he's deep. That shit. I mean, how am I not going to drop 5 G's to learn how to talk like that? Why would I not do that? You got to be a fucking idiot to not give this guy your money. Dude, I can't with people sometimes, man. I don't understand what goes through people's heads, you know? I mean, yeah, the theory is the dude's a crackhead, right? But I've met crackheads that were like nowhere even close to that dude right there. I've met crackheads that the only reason I don't respect them is because they're crackheads, right? You like the thing is, it's once you know somebody smokes crack, you're like, dude, really? This dude is out of this world. He's out of this world. And I can't help but laugh at him. It's crazy. Like, think about it, people. Think about it right now. Let's be real honest. I'm going to sit here and say that hands down, so far, in the last 2 years of true crime cases that got huge, right? That everybody on YouTube in the community just has to talk about on their channel, right? Out of all of them in the last 2 years, Letitia Stalk is the most violent, crazy motherfucker of them all. Tell me I'm wrong. Who attacks a cop and tries to escape? That's something out of a Harrison Ford movie, dude. Who does that? Right? And then we got this dude who comes along and he's just as wacky, but we don't know if he's just as violent. We don't know. But he's definitely got some serious issues. You can see it in his eyes. You can see the way they and how uneasy he is, and every post that he keeps making. Like, who's he talking to? When he's like, y'all stop playing. Y'all keep playing with me. You all keep playing with me. Who's he talking to? I haven't messaged that guy. I haven't wrote anything on his wall. I did comment on one of his videos, though, one time. He was live, and I commented while he was live. I did. I couldn't help it. But there's something seriously. I don't know if it's PCP, Lauren Elizabeth, because I've only seen somebody on PCP once in my life. I was in San Diego, and there was this homeless guy, and he was just like, for some reason, he was holding on to a railing of like a bike rack, and he was stomping real hard on the ground, as hard as he could, just and he just was doing it for hours. And I was piercing at a tattoo shop, and it was happening like 2 doors down. And I go to my buddy Jesse, and I go, "Hey, dude, like, what's going on with that guy? He's a local, right? Jesse's a local." And I'm like, "What's going on with that guy?" And he's like, "Oh, he's on dust, man." And I was like coke? And he was like, no, like PCP. And I was like, what? I was like, that's what that shit does? Like, that guy hasn't stopped for like 3 hours. He's like, yeah, that's how it is. You know, it was like the norm for him. It was like the norm. It was super weird, super strange. But I don't think, I mean, I think that this guy, if he's not going to sit there and call himself a witch and then try to claim that he's crazy. I'm not going to sit here and let him, let anybody sit there and try to say, oh, well, he's just sick and he has a problem because of mental health. No, if he's doing drugs, that's all it is. If he's doing cocaine, whether he's snorting it, whether he's smoking it, whether he's shooting it, but if he's doing any type of form of cocaine, which I'm telling you is abundant in South Florida, it's extremely easy to find. Even if you don't do it, it's going to show up somewhere near you. That's just how that is. It is abundant, to say the least. So when you have somebody like that, chances are, if he has no place to sleep and he's sleeping out of his car, right, he's probably not sleeping much. So you're looking at a mixture of psychosis from the drug that he's on, and also from sleep deprivation. So that probably adds to his behavior and his Facebook posts, and definitely his paranoia. But is it an excuse? Hell no. Fuck no. It's not an excuse. There's no reason to be behaving like that. There's absolutely no excuse for that behavior. There's absolutely no excuse for abandoning a child the way that he did. And if he kidnapped Leila or did something worse to her, yeah, there's definitely, absolutely no excuse whatsoever for that type of behavior. So, so I'm going to go ahead and say, whether you believe that he kidnapped her or not, whatever. But the fact that he abandoned a baby the way that he did, and then lied about it, and then went all over social media talking about himself like he's some kind of hero and like some kind of fucking saint for giving her a place to stay and feeding her and her child. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make my personal public judgment. That dude is a shitbag and belongs where he is, in jail. So hopefully he has answers to where Leila is. But personally, I think the guy is exactly where he belongs, and I'm happy that he's there. Lauren Elizabeth said she watched the dude fake paint a wall for 3 hours. Man, what were you doing to where that was all you had to look at for 3 hours? Like, I think it's none of my business. It's none of my business. But the Tinder, you know what I'm saying? Well, that's the thing is meth. I never once saw meth when I lived in South Florida. I never heard of anyone doing it. I never once at all. And then in Atlanta, there's definitely more meth than cocaine because cocaine is cut so many times by the time it gets to Georgia, and it's super expensive. No one's making a profit off of it, so they're jacking the price up for really weak stuff, because it all gets circulated in Florida, in South Florida. By the time it gets up there, so meth is just way cheaper and actually more effective and more addictive, because people can make it in their house, supposedly. So, but as far as South Florida goes, as far as Shannon Ryan goes, maybe Leila was into meth. I don't know. But as far as Shannon Ryan goes, I'm definitely suspecting cocaine, and probably smoking it. But see, go over one or two more questions here or comments. Yes, cocaine and sleep deprivation definitely cause psychosis. That is absolutely 100% true. The charges, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't know, Lauren Elizabeth, if the charges are for kidnapping Kamdyn or Leila. I honestly don't know. That's why I'm not a true crime channel. Go watch the experts. Kay has been going over this. A lot of you are followers of Kay. Kay has been going over this very, very thoroughly. So again, I suggest that you join her group if you want to follow this case closer. You're going to get anything new about this case. It's going to pop up in that group like immediately. So for details and information on this case, you want to join Critical K's group for and I believe it's called Where is Leila Cavett? So I don't know if Wicked Witch left. Let me see if I can drop a link for it before I sign off here. Here we go. Bam. All right, guys, I'm dropping the link for that group now. So if you're not a member of that group and you want more information on this case, more detailed information on this case, go ahead and join that group with the link that I just dropped in the chat right now. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me on a Monday afternoon. I had a nice time. And I'm going to continue. I've got this 75-day plan workout and diet thing, and I have to work out twice a day. And I already went, I did 7.5 miles on an elliptical bike, and I did like 5,000 meters on the row machine. I'm going to go back and do some more elliptical bike. And I'm going to eat a salad later. But I really, really appreciate you guys. And I had a great time as always. And yeah. Oh, hey, Doodle just missed us. But the lovely Doodle, best mod in the world, is here. Miss you. Guys, we'll do this again very soon, my friends.